So with Daniel Sturridge having ended up at West Brom, I wonder how his former Anfield strike partner is getting on. And no, I'm not talking about Ricky Lambert. Let's take a look at some great strike partnerships, but only those consisting of forwards who have had completely contrasting fortunes once they've split up. Daniel Sturridge and Luis Suarez. Back during the 13-14 season, one of the deadliest strike partnerships around was the SAS one between Daniel Sturridge and Luis Suarez. Pace, skill and guile, they were terrorising defenders every week, with the former bagging 24 goals in 33 games and the latter 31 in 37. Well, it's 4 years later and Suarez is currently in his 4th season at Barcelona, looking to add a 3rd La Liga medal and who knows, maybe even another Champions League. And Sturridge, despite being 3 years his junior, is now stuck at West Brom on loan. Looking forward to getting pumped long balls from Craig Dawson for the next 6 months. This was the exact sort of loan move he was taking in at the age of 20, not 28. It's a shame, but there's really only one reason for it: the fact that he's about as stable as a glass house. Kevin Gallagher and Chris Sutton. We could have gone for Chris Sutton's more well-known partnership, but we'll plump for this one, considering Kevin Gallagher did a good job of falling straight off the face of the earth after bagging a few goals alongside Sutton during the 97-98 season for Blackburn Rovers. To be fair to Sutton, he wasn't exactly pining over his former strike partner's Facebook page every night. It was the 90s, alright? Connecting to the internet was a bigger challenge than asking Titus Breville to defend, and so netted 21 goals for the former champions as they finished 6th. Gallagher, doing his best to fill Shearer's sizable boots, bagged 20 goals. At the age of 32, he couldn't take it anymore though. He netted 5 the following season as the club were relegated, but somehow followed in Shearer's footsteps to Newcastle. But unlike Allen, there was never going to be a statue for a man who scored 6 in 47 appearances. He retired in League One with Huddersfield, with Sutton bagging him in up in Glasgow, winning league titles and reaching UEFA Cup finals. Although I feel I probably should take a few points off him now, since he's currently doing his best to be the most miserable man on television. And yes, this in an age where Piers Morgan is alive. Diego Tristan and Roy Makaay. At the start of the millennium, Diego Tristan and Roy Makaay were among the deadliest strike partnerships in Europe. Deportivo La Coruña weren't the running joke they currently are, getting battered at the bottom of the league on a weekly basis, and the duo plundered 144 goals between them across 3 seasons. They split up in 2003, with Makaay going on to repeat his goal-scoring exploits at Bayern Munich, albeit a Bayern Munich that was in the business of finishing 6 points behind Werder Bremen and employing Rocky Santa Cruz, as opposed to being the runaway juggernaut of today that leeches brush at Dortmund like a food farm. Makaay netted 102 goals in 178 games for the Bavarians, winning 2 league titles before winding down with 50 goals across 3 seasons for Feyenoord. Tristan, on the other hand, left for Mallorca in 2006, failed to score, netted just 1 at Livorno, bagged 3 at West Ham, before finding himself retiring in the Spanish 2nd Division at the age of 34. Sergio Aguero and Alvaro Negredo. I know what you're thinking, finally a strike partnership consisting of players that aren't knee-deep in retirement. Sergio Aguero has had his fair share of strike partners in Man City, but I think everyone was surprised at how well he seemed to gel with Alvaro Negredo. When the Spaniard was signed in the summer of 2013, everyone assumed he'd just been brought in to babysit the perennially homesick Jesus Navas. But while Aguero netted 28 goals in 34 games, Negredo bagged a helpful 23 in 49, as they won a league and cup double, although they might have dedicated at least one of those to a slippy patch of grass at Enfield. Anyway, as we all know, Aguero has continued to score for fun at the Etihad, becoming the club's all-time record goal scorer and looks set to add another medal to his collection in May. Negredo doesn't seem to have recovered from having been forced to endure 6 months of coaching from the Chuckle brothers, struggling at Valencia before getting relegated at Middlesbrough. He's now at Besiktas with 4 league goals in 18 games. Let's not forget, he's only 3 years older than Sergio. Emmanuel Riviere and Radamel Falcao. Yeah, we're going to go with a strike partnership that only actually spent 6 months together before it was wiped out by an inconveniently timed ACL injury. To be fair, I think Falcao was more bothered about missing the World Cup than not getting the chance to play with Emmanuel Riviere for another 6 months. The duo were the perfect combination of speed and strength. The Frenchman went on to net 13 that season in Monaco's first season back on the top flight, while the Colombian had bagged 11 in 19 games by January. They both ended up in England. It takes a special type of terrible to make Falcao's move look like a success, but Riviere somehow achieved it, scoring 3 times in 31 games for Newcastle as they plunged back into the Championship. Whoever sanctioned that deal should be brought out back and fed to the horses, because that man spent his time in England looking like he'd won his career in a cereal box. However, unlike Falcao, Riviere hasn't recovered from that ordeal. He failed to get off the mark in a loan spell at Osasuna, while he only has 5 goals so far this season at FC Metz. The Colombian looks back to his best with 50 goals over the last 18 months for Monaco. Jamie Vardy and David Nugent. Jamie Vardy and David Nugent are quite similar in a way. Both training ground jokers, they've both done it in the lower leagues, and the latter was best man at Vardy's wedding. No wonder they gelled together so well during the Fox's promotion winning campaign of 13-14, with Nugent bagging in 22 and Vardy 16. It was some turnaround for Vardy, who'd scored 5 the previous season and looked on his way back to the life of vodka Skittles before games at Stocksbridge Park Steels. If someone had told you that within 2 years Vardy would be playing and scoring for England, bagging them in for 11 consecutive games and lifting the Premier League title, you'd be committing them to the nearest psych ward. Nugent's time in an England shirt had been and gone. Thank Christ, I hear you say, and he's currently doing the same thing he's been doing for pretty much the entirety of his career, aside from warming the bench at Portsmouth, trying to get out of the Championship. Dimitar Berbatov and Robbie Keane. This was a tough one. Obviously Keane is a hero and I won't hear a bad word against the man, but since leaving Tottenham 10 years ago, I don't think anyone can argue his career has been on a steady decline. The Irishman struck up a wonderful rapport with Dimitar Berbatov at Tottenham, netting 91 goals between them across 2 seasons and helping themselves to the League Cup. They both left the club in the same summer, leaving Spurs to scramble around to plug the hole with Fraser Campbell. Yeah, that was not going to do it. Okay, Berbatov's time at Manchester United was not perfect, but he did grab the golden boot. He won 2 league titles and a League Cup. He scored 56 goals in 4 seasons. Not too bad considering he was barely used in his final one. To show he still had it, he only went and scored 15 goals in his first season at Fulham. No mean feat when you're depending on the creative influence of Simon Davies and Steve Sidwell. Yeah, he's currently at Kerala Blasters after spells in Greece and with Monaco, but in comparison to the Irishman, Keane turned up at his boyhood club, the first one, Liverpool, realised very quickly Rafa Benitez did not want him, scored 5 league goals before returning to Tottenham. Everyone soon found out he wasn't the same player, so he was chucked off to Celtic on loan, where he scored a confidence-boosting 12 goals in 16 games. But come on lads, scoring against Kilmarnock and Hearts is like playing FIFA against a blind 40-year-old. Before netting for fun in a division where Sean Wright-Phillips' brother is a superstar. He's currently in India with Atletico de Kolkata. I'm obviously a huge fan of Keane's, but there is no doubt Berbatov has had the most successful post-Spurs career. Carlos Tevez and Bobby Zamora. Carlos Tevez has had some fine strike partners, but none of them can hold a candle to big Bobby Zamora. The West Ham experience was a strange time for the Argentine, but no doubt a happy year for him. After being given the cold shoulder from Alan Pardew for 6 months, he netted 7 goals to keep the Hammers up after Christmas. Zamora played his part too with 11 goals, and to be fair, I feel harsh including him here. Big Bobby went on to enjoy a pretty good career, playing for Fulham, QPR and Brighton, and of course there was that one season where he obviously drank that magic juice out of Space Jam, when he transformed from a 4-goal a season striker into a 19-goal one, getting in the England team and reaching a UEFA Cup final. But at the end of the day, no matter how much he maximised his talent, I'm sorry Bob, just take a look at Teve's CV.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.